it actually runs. All the time we've got Easy Start going in there, it works. It's actually quite good. Well, there's no radiator, so we've better turn it off. When this car failed its MOT on just 3 things, a couple of them were easy to fix, one not so much. First of all, track rod ends, £5 off GSF in their sale. Can't go wrong with that. Fix that later. Second of all, emissions. I can't do a lot with emissions. It's going to have to go back to a garage who can test sensors and things. But the big one, the tricky one, is the coil springs. That coil spring there is broken apparently, and this is on coilovers, so I can't just change them because it's coilovers. But luckily, Gaz, who made these things, do refurb, which means I've got to take all 4 off, whip them up to Essex, and then get them rebuilt. Let's get on with that. Now, a cup of tea now. A fun thing with this car is that because its suspension is so low, you can't actually get a jack under it, so you have to drive on the blocks. That's entertaining. Now, because I'm jacking the car up on, well, jacking points, I'm just got to find somewhere else to put the axle stands, because I'm going to need to have this car resting on axle stands and probably use the jacks possibly to free the coilovers in a moment. Oh dear me, it's hot out here. So I don't lose these later on, which is a distinct possibility. I could really do with getting under and painting this one day, make it look nice. Now, because I'm not completely daft, only partially, I've said that before, so I know which wheel goes where, because they all look quite similar. I'm going to write down which is which with a bit of chalk. This is the offside rear. And this is the near side rear. I should have known there'd be one that just... Oh, there we go, it moved. Thank goodness. I thought I was going to have to start getting hitty with it. Safely-ish, supported on a flattish surface. Ready for me to try and remember how on earth these come off, because it's about 5 years since I put them on and I've forgotten how you do it. I might have to go and read the book. A quality temporary repair, which has lasted about 5 years. Oh well, good old cable ties. Now, I would never describe coil springs or coil suspension as a safe thing to play with, but coilovers are significantly safer because it's an all-in-one unit, so when you undo it from the car, it's not going to explode in your face and try and remove your head. It might just be seized solid, not be removable though. That is an issue, potentially. Let's undo the top bits first, maybe. Okay, maybe I'll undo the top ones first. Oh my god. Okay, I might have to get a bit more brittle. Leverage always wins. as I shear the end of that bolt off in one clean go. Oh God. Well, it didn't shear off, but it didn't move very well. Or at all. Great. I've just realised why there was a loud snapping noise. It wasn't the bolt shearing off, it was this socket snapping. Ugh. More for the bin. Luckily I have another 15mm socket. We can carry on playing. Passenger side's not nearly as tight as the driver's side was, which is a relief. Oh, slipping. Damn it. Damn, 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 damn. Bother. Straight to the other side. Right, before I go and start doing flames on the front suspension, I'll have a quick go at undoing these rear bolts instead. You never know, they might come up easily. Wow, it actually did. I didn't really expect that to happen. When I undid these last time to fit this CAD stuff, I actually spent most of 2 days, I think, with blow torches, hammers, chisels. I burnt the old bushes out in the end because they were having none of it. They did not want to move. This is just undoing with consummate ease. That was too easy. That's what the other one's like. Well, that's interesting. That wasn't in front of this on the other side. On the other side, this metal pipe thing, which I think protects the ABS wires or something, was held on with cable ties, and so wasn't in the way. On this side, the actual correct bolt is in place, which means I can't get to the bottom bolt. I'd forgotten doing that. It must mean that the bolt sheared off. In fact, this one's almost completely sheared off, only just enough to put back into the bracket. The other one must have done it completely. Now, let's see what this does. Wow, it turns. That is actually astonishing. There we go. Oh, not quite. Still nearly quite. Oh, come on, you so-and-so. There you go. These are new from Rimmer's Brothers. Just a few short years ago when I did this last time. I'll put this somewhere safe. I've forgotten this bottom bolt here needs to come undone as well. Obviously you'd need to do it so you can pull the lower arm out of the way. Right, so the lower arm should now pull out of the way. Another thing I forgot is a drop link down there. Oh, what fun I'm going to have putting this all back together. There are 2 retaining bolts, and you don't touch them in the middle because that's what holds the spring into the coilover. I'm just glad that when I assembled all this rear suspension not so long ago, I actually used tons of copper slip on there because it's coming undone really nicely. I just wish the front ones were as well. Right, there we go. 1 free coilover. Hurrah! Well, not free, it's quite expensive, but 1 released coilover. Hurrah! We reached this part so much quicker than I thought we would. Oops. It's done, the car's MOT'd and fixed. Sorry, you missed all that. Or did it not happen at all? No, that was just a dream. Yeah, after I heated it up again, until I pretty much ran out of gas, I was still just rounding the nut off until it got dark. 8:55, I was outside Halfords the next morning. I didn't film any of this because I was in a mad rush to get this done because I had an appointment at Gaz to get these shocks rebuilt, which hasn't happened. 8:55, I was banging on the door of Halfords to get the best six-sided socket they had, some more gas, heated it some more in a mad hurry. Again, didn't film it because I was in a mad hurry. In the end, just couldn't do it, so I had to put the rear shocks back on, tighten up all the bolts or refit all the bolts at the front that had come off, and move the car back in the corner because it was in the way in the middle of the drive. And so now I'm trying to borrow either a heat induction tool or an oxy set so I can just burn those bolts off, get the shocks rebuilt, get the car back on the road. A little bit frustrated today, I've got to say, because I would rather be driving. This is prime open top car driving weather and I'm wasting it sat in the driveway. Not happy. And basically wasted about a day and a half trying to do 2 bolts, which is just so frustrating. But after that, I did go and play with the Mercedes. Now, although the chances of just merely a broken earth strap off the battery stopping this car from starting are fairly slim, I am kind of desperate now, so I'm going to take a chance. Another £10 spent on this money pit. So I'll whack this on quickly, crank it over, and there's maybe a 1 in a million chance that might be it wasn't getting enough energy from the battery to crank it over and start it, because there's no alternator on this thing to generate power. So let's just see. I really must go and weigh some of this stuff in. Again, this looks like a clean cut rather than a natural break. Oh, let's try and find the nut and bolt, which I obviously dropped, because I always drop them. If you've not got one of these magnetic pickup sticks, I can totally recommend it. It's one of the most useful things I've had. I didn't even buy it, it came free with a magazine subscription. Practical classics. Oh no, I've just dropped my magnetic pickup stick, so I need a magnetic pickup stick to pick up the magnetic pickup stick. Well done. Okay, so now we have a far better earth than before. Torqued. Now this kind of, what do you call it? This kind of cable doesn't really shear like this. This is clean cuts. So this is yet again something else that was vandalised on this car and then had black tape put over to kind of hide it. Something was really maliciously done to this vehicle. I don't know what. I hope it doesn't come back to bite me later on. Well, that nearly went then. That was really smooth as well. Oh, that nearly went. That so nearly went. Damn, that fuel delivery is just not working. It did start easier on the easy start with that better earth, so that's one more of the 100 things that are wrong with this car ticked off the list. So one more of the 100 things I didn't know was wrong with this car ticked off the list. Oh well. Back to head scratching. I wouldn't say I'm clutching at straws trying to get this car going, but I am working through a limited range of options now, having done pretty much everything else as to why it won't actually start and run. I've tried a little suggestion which someone made, which was bridging 2 contacts in the fuel pump relay, which means the pump runs constantly, so there's always fuel getting through. Tried that, lots of fuel gushed, but didn't make the car start. And I had a fairly good idea where the problem was located, but I asked my friend Alan, who did the Rover 214 gearbox and has that blue Cavalier, if he'd like to have a look at it, because he's quite handy with the car. And so we had a bit of a fiddle around with this thing, and it actually runs. All the time we've got Easy Start going in there, it works. It's actually quite good. Well, there's no radiator, so we're better turn it off. Well, it runs. We kind of knew it ran anyway, but with that prolonged blast of Easy Start, we actually saw the car does actually properly run. It's got spark, it's got timing, it's got air, everything apart from petrol getting from this pipe here into the cylinders. So the problem has to be the fuel distribution block or the cold start injector. Probably that, but maybe that. I don't really want to take this apart because inside it's basically a large rubber diaphragm with 4 little discs on springs that go up and down and, you know, pump. I can't find at the moment a rebuild kit for a 4-cylinder. I can find 6 and 8-cylinder rebuild kits, but there's a code number on there, item number, so I'm going to have to keep on hunting. I might take it apart and just see if I can use the original rubber parts and see if a clean-up will do the trick, because they're quite expensive, like £100. I thought they were 50, but turns out they're 100. But maybe there's some dried fuel in there that's clogging stuff up. It may also be this cold start injector, and that has got an electronic pulsey thing on there, and these are a set of Noid lights, which I've only used like once in the years I've had them, which I actually bought from an old BMW E30 I had yonks ago, which had a mad problem where it just cut out randomly when you were driving. Sometimes it would start run indefinitely, other times it would just cut out in traffic for no reason whatsoever. Turned out it was a broken wiring loom, not off the battery going to the fuel injection, not the actual fuel injection itself. Tightened one screw and it was fixed. Anyway, let's have a play with that. So I've got a matching Noid light. Oh yeah, Bosch. GM, Ford, Geo, don't know what it is. Bosch, GM TBI and GM Skippy. Let's see if a Bosch, yes, Bosch does fit in there. So nothing flashed, and I don't know why. I guess there's nothing triggering this, but I don't know what would trigger that. Maybe temperature based. I'm just going to quickly pull this off just to see if any fuel does come. Oh my god, petrol does come out of there. Quite a lot of petrol comes out of there. That's under a lot of pressure. Okay, let's turn it off. That's really yellow fuel. I wonder why that fuel is so yellow. Yuck. There must be a lot of old petrol gushing around in this system. It's starting to run a bit clearer now. Well, that answers that question. Yes, there is petrol getting into that pipe. Whether it's going beyond that valve is anyone's guess. Need to wash my hands now. It's possible this wasn't flashing just because it's so warm. It's still like 20 degrees. So this may just be not cold enough to trigger this. And I may just be barking up the wrong tree here completely. But at least I know there's definitely petrol getting to that pipe. And since we were looking at that and concluding that this distributor is definitely the part that was at fault, it's kind of thing I thought was at fault, was kind of hoping it wasn't, because it's the trickiest thing in this engine bay to rebuild. I've been watching a bunch of videos on YouTube and reading up about how you take this apart, and boy am I glad I did that before I started going in, just wailing in straight away. I was going to undo the Allen keys and then nothing to do with stripping it down. They are finally set at the factory to measure the amount of fuel going through. It's much more complex than it looks, quite simple in some ways, but very precise in others. So I do need to find that component for sale, and I do need to take it apart very carefully. And further, having read up more about it, I don't think I'd be able to reuse the rubber membrane under any circumstances. By now, it will definitely just be too brittle to do anything at all. So it's going to be get a rebuild kit before I even think about doing anything else. So thank you for watching yet another attempt to make this damn thing start. I'm starting a Patreon on this car because it's going to need a lot more money spending on it. I'm not after lots of money, I'm not being greedy. If anyone who wants to see his car run can maybe spare like £1 a month or something, because it's going to need all new brakes, it's going to need all new tyres, it's going to need a whole bunch of other stuff that's going to cost a lot more money. As it is, this car's worth more in parts than it is as a running car. But I don't want to see that. I want to see this car back on the road, and I want to see it working. And bear in mind, it was a car I was meant to spend zero money on. I'm already 4 figures into it, which my wife doesn't know. Shh. So if anyone feels like joining my Patreon, there's a link down below, and I'll be very grateful for the odd, a couple of pennies really, just to get this thing up on the road again. So things like £100 for a rubber diaphragm and rebuild kit, which I don't want to spend. A new brake master cylinder, and new brake calipers, and new brake lines, and everything else I find that's wrong with this when it does finally start. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this series and want to see where it goes, please hit subscribe. If you've liked it, please hit like. If you haven't, well, you know what to do in that case as well, don't you? Join me again very soon.